Great bowerbirds are a common sight in the Pindan around the Broome Bird Observatory and are regular visitors to the observatory bird baths. They've got a wide array of loud grating calls and are also quite good mimics, and this noise tends to betray their presence around the observatory grounds throughout the day. Male bowerbirds build a bower out of twigs to attract females, which they then decorate the surrounds with objects they've collected from the surrounding areas. The great bowerbird tends to collect white or shiny objects and then uses them to decorate his bower. He then waits for females to arrive and displays to them from the bower in the hope of attracting them as a mate. If a female's impressed enough by the bower and the display, she will mate with the male, but then she moves off to lay the eggs and rear the chicks on her own, while he waits for another female to show up. The Yellowchat is one of the most sought after birds of the Broome region. These tiny jewels occur around the ephemeral wetlands and clay pans in the greater Broome area, and are high on the wish list of many birders visiting the Broome Bird Observatory. Although their range covers much of tropical northern Australia, their occurrence is patchy in areas of suitable habitat, and there's very few accessible locations where they can reliably be seen, one of which is the plains out behind the Broome Bird Observatory. Males in breeding plumage are a real nice rich yellow colour, so their attractiveness goes beyond their rarity. Usually found in pairs or small flocks, but sometimes get seen in flocks of hundreds, and feed primarily on the small insects on the ground or amongst low vegetation surrounding these wetlands. The peevish call of the Brahminy kite is one of the distinctive sounds of Robuck Bay and the Broome Bird Observatory. These attractive rufous and white raptors are commonly seen around the bay, often gliding on updrafts over the Pindan cliffs. Brahminies are primarily a coastal species occurring across northern Australia and north into Asia, and they take a wide range of prey including fish, particularly mudskippers on the mudflats actually. They also scavenge carrion and fish scraps, and at high tide they'll glide over the roosts of migratory waders, searching for any sick, injured or inattentive birds that they can take advantage of for an easy meal. The eastern curlew is the largest migratory shorebird in the world, and towers over most of the other shorebird species on the mudflats in Robuck Bay. They're a streaky brown colour all over, with an extremely long and down-curved bill which they use to probe deep into the mud of the bay for prey. Eastern curlews breed further south than a lot of our shorebirds, in southern Siberia and a little in northern China, but this still means a journey of over 8,000 kilometres to reach their breeding grounds. They usually make this flight with just a single stopover in the Yellow Sea region, so upon leaving Robuck Bay they will usually be flying non-stop for around 5 days before their feet touch the ground again. They usually depart our shores after dark, although you can often see them making preparations in the late afternoon, and their haunting calls commonly fill the night sky over the Broome Bird Observatory in March. The red knot is another of the migratory shorebirds that visit the mudflats near the Broome Bird Observatory in large numbers. When they obtain their breeding plumage, they're a deep red over much of their body, but for much of the time in Australia their plumage is a mixture of grey tones, belying their name. Red knots are sandpipers, and as with most sandpipers they feed by touch primarily, and they feed by repetitively probing their bills into the mud and using touch to detect prey. As well as feeling the prey items directly, they're also able to detect changes in water pressure in the mud that betray the presence of food items. This sense is so refined that with a bit of practice, the adult birds are even able to detect whether a shell in the mud is empty or contains a tasty molluscan morsel to eat. The red-necked stint is the smallest migratory shorebird visiting Robuck Bay near Broome Bird Observatory. These tiny birds weigh in at an average of about 13 grams, which is less than half the weight of fat in an average hamburger. Nonetheless, these tiny birds still migrate each year to the northern coasts of Siberia and back, which is a return journey of almost 22,000 kilometres. As with many of our shorebird species though, red-necked stints don't usually breed in their first year, so many young birds remain in Robuck Bay throughout the dry season rather than migrating north for their first season. Red-necked stints are one of the more common waders across Australia, also, and so they're one of the more familiar waders for a lot of southern Australians.